Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Have we missed you? We are so excited for another amazing season that this is gearing up to be. We have a ton to talk about as we head into yet another special season of NC2A men's water polo. But first things first, we need to thank you. Thank you to everyone who's been supportive the last 12 months, especially those of you who have reached out personally or come up to me or Clayton in person and just shared your gratitude. It means the world to us, as this is very much a passion project. And without you, it just doesn't seem worthwhile to continue. Second, we have some really special content coming up for you before the season even begins. We'll be breaking down the House vs. NCAA rule and requirement changes. We'll be covering transfers, upcoming games to watch. We'll even be ranking freshman recruiting classes and preseason predictions in future episodes. And finally, we interviewed 8 coaches from around the country to break down their recruiting classes and upcoming seasons, something that's never been done before in our sport. There's even more special nuggets in future episodes, so you're not going to want to miss a thing. There's a ton of content coming at you. Get ready for another incredible season of Water Polo Wednesday. Let's go.
Hey everyone, you know what time it is. It's Water Polo Wednesday with Wes
back.
and Clay. He's Wes.
He's Clay.
And we're back with another very special episode. You can't keep us away for too long, can you? So this episode
new season.
is actually new season. I mean, this is a season announcement. This is
kickoff.
Not just a new episode. It's a whole new season kickoff episode. We already have a lot planned out for you guys. It's a lot of really interesting, we think, content talking about our world of water polo, specifically as we go into the NC2A season. We're going to talk about the new rules. What is NC2A anymore? We're talking about some key games to look at this season, so you can mark your calendars early, as well as a special segment called Same Faces, New Places. More on that later. Wes, let's kick it off and talk about what is this new world of water polo regarding NC2As and this house ruling?
Yeah, stay with us the next 2 weeks. We're going to have an episode that's dropping every single day. We'll talk about what those are going to be as we end this episode. But be sure to catch all of the episodes that are going to be dropped every single day about 10 a.m. Frankly, every single day for the next 2 weeks as we break down recruiting classes, have coaches on to talk about the season, as well as, where they see things going. And so it's a unique opportunity to have so many great guests, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, Clay. There's a lot that's happened in the offseason, a ton that's happened in the offseason. Most notably, the House vs. NC2A has passed. Now, everybody's going, well, what is happening? What are the repercussions of this? So there are 3 main points that have changed, okay? We're going to talk about the implication of each of these. However, before we get into that, amateurism is now done. It's dead. It's a thing of the past. It's what Clayton and I experienced as college athletes. It no longer exists. What now exists are professional athletes that is being presided over by the College Sports Commission. There were over 150 rule changes and nuance changes to the varying sports. When it all came down to it, said and done, there's over $20.5 million, if memory serves, that each university can now dole out to athletes. We don't know where all that's going to go. Every university will be different, but so we can't speak to that. But that is the limit that is set to increase by 4% every year. These are no longer amateur athletes. They can be paid, not just NIL. Universities can now pay athletes directly. That is a big deal.
So real quick deal on that. Like, what's the NIL, the difference between NIL and where we are today?
NIL was name, image, and likeness. That was run by collectives. Effectively, you donate money into a collective. That collective would represent the water polo program at said university, or the football program, whatever it was, maybe the whole university. It just depended on the university. Then that money would be distributed to the players based on what the donor stipulated. An example I would give is, Michigan football, which I'm a big fan of. For those of you who don't know, they wanted a quarterback, and they put together a plan that Larry Ellison, the head of Oracle, donated $10 million over 4 years. And so this particular student athlete allegedly is getting $2.5 million through that NIL from Larry Ellison per year for every year he stays, up to 10 million. And so that's how it was done before. It had to go through the collective. Not today. Now universities can pay players directly. Now, sometimes that's in the form of scholarship, which obviously isn't really taxed in the same way, or they can pay them the equivalent, if they want, in cash. How much they pay them up to the university, again, limited to $20.5 million. If we ever bump up against that as a water polo program or water polo industry, I think we've reached new heights. We'll be having a different conversation. We might start charging advertisers on this podcast, Clayton. So that would be a very different world.
Watch
so the university can now pay athletes directly. Is our understanding of this. All right. Now, roster limits. This is a big deal. Before, there weren't really any roster limits. Now, 24 players per roster for water polo. These are water polo specific. Now, why is that a big deal? First off, it cuts the rosters down for most programs. Most programs had more than 24. If, however, let's say you were cut this year because of this roster rule change, there is a grandfathered clause. So anybody who had a roster spot prior to these cuts is granted that roster spot until they graduate. Okay, so there's a little bit of an exception here. 24 is not a big number. You consider red shirts and whatever else, and the number of foreign athletes that we have in our sport, it's not a big number for a lot of domestic players. So this trims things down pretty significantly, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see how coaches who manage this. I think coaches have stopped becoming coaches. I think they're GMs now. They've got to raise money. They've got to work out salaries. They've got to negotiate. They've got to manage rosters
GMs in a way, and
they were
skyrocketed.
Now it's less about the sport than it's ever been, because the first question most athletes are going to ask is, how much am I going to get paid? That isn't about anything to do with the sport. That's just to get them on your campus and get them playing for you. And so things have really changed. Roster limits to 24. Now, this last thing is the biggest. Everybody's thinking the payment is the biggest thing. It's not. Let me tell you, it is not the biggest thing. Of these three things, of what's going on, the biggest thing is the scholarship change. Water polo, men's water polo, has had 4.5 scholarships. Gosh, Clay, since I can remember. I mean, I was 4.5 in 2003. We were at 4.5. So it's been at least 22 years. Okay. It is now up to 24. That means every player on the roster could theoretically have a full ride scholarship. So when everybody was held to 4.5, the playing field was a little bit like a teeter-totter. Some teams would be good, and then they'd fall off, as we saw Cal do last year. And then some teams would come back and whatever else. But they were limited to 4.5 scholarships. Everybody was limited to 4.5 scholarships. That means everybody had 4.5 scholarships. It will be interesting to see how many scholarships water polo keeps at some of these schools. A school like Pepperdine or LMU, for example, without a football team, may say, hey, we're going to lean into this. We're going to give them 12 scholarships, 20 scholarships. A school like, I don't know, Michigan, which isn't a good example because they don't have a men's team, but a school like a USC, it's going to be more donor-based because the university may not issue 20 scholarships. And so what we may start seeing here, and this is all theory because this is the first year we've done it, we don't know how this is going to go. What we may start seeing here is a real disparity in equality in terms of scholarship allotments. Now, you tell me, if you are somebody coming from Eastern Europe and I'm the coach at Pepperdine, and I tell you I'm going to give you a full ride scholarship to Pepperdine to live in Malibu. And oh, by the way, I'm going to kick in another $20,000 to $30,000 a year. Are you going to go take that? Or are you going to go play at somewhere else that maybe you don't get a full ride scholarship for and you have to come out of pocket? And not just Eastern European people. This goes for everybody. If I offer you $100,000 to come to my school, that's something you're going to have to think about. And so this could very easily change things to be, instead of teeter-tottering, a complete landslide. It could fundamentally shift the power in water polo as we know it today. And those who have the money should win the day. There's a reason the Yankees in baseball continue to be great, and the Dodgers continue to be great, because they spend the most money. And so now, without really a salary cap, there's no hard line. Up to $20.5 million for universities. That doesn't mean NIL can't be more. So This is going to be kind of crazy for a while. And I'm not saying people are going to get paid millions. I hope they do. I hope our athletes, now that they can, I hope they get paid as much as possible. But it is to say that not all schools will have the exact same number of scholarships, which creates quite the disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And so this is something we have to watch.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about, like, the roster limit is something that is very interesting, because if you can only take so many players, that means more players have to find other teams to play for, and would actually increase parity across teams and across leagues, which would be very interesting. But then the money swings that right back, I think, the other way.
Kind of does.
It depends, it does. Because it's not necessarily who has the most historic program. It's who can ease the burden, who can give some extra cash in the pocket, and that talks a lot. That might bring some people to places that they normally wouldn't consider before, but are happy to, because that gives them a lot more flexibility than they would have had otherwise, right? So,
and so, watch for new programs to potentially pop up. The rumor is University of Texas may start a program now that Texas has denoted water polo as a official high school sport.
Good for them.
And if the University of Texas, which there's a lot of money,
and a lot of athletic genes over in Texas.
That's right. And that could be interesting. There's going to be some changes in the world of water polo as we know it, as we kind of knew there would be. We just don't know how this is going to play out. We're not really in the driver's seat. So we're spectators like everybody else, Clay. We're not the ones having to make these decisions on who gets what and how much they effectively have. So this is going to be fascinating. And then the question is funding. Are programs able to be funded? Or, like we saw in the news earlier this summer, Cal getting a grant, effectively, like a very large donation. It's not a grant, it's a huge donation from the Speaker family that is endowing that program. That's the word I was looking for, endowing that program for years to come. So Cal looks to be pretty safe and well on their way.
Well positioned, yeah.
So we will see what happens, but we did want to call this out as the start of the new season. We've got new rules. We've got a change in landscape here. We wanted to make sure everybody was aware now that this is done. Here we go. And so that is your House versus NCAA results, water polo specific. It's the College Sports Commission, everybody. It's the College Sports Commission. This is a new overarching governing body, yeah. So that's that. Let's get into the fun stuff. This is going to be an unbelievable season. I have been waiting since December 5th for this. I am so excited. We're rolling along. Here we go. All right. So next one up, we got game night. So game night, everybody. We're gonna start. We're gonna start. We had some free time. We thought we'd throw some music into this. We'd build some cool slides for everybody. We got game night coming up. We're gonna highlight a few key must-watch matchups. We may be doing some really interesting things this season with game night. Checking out, potentially Clay and I commenting on some of these. The schedule is not quite set. I will let you know what I am commentating on for those of you who want to tune in on overnight and other mediums. And so there's a few really interesting games that are happening this season. There's a lot more than we're able to list on one slide, but let's take a look at what we got going on this season. First out of the gate. Now, I know the Triton Invitational, this isn't to shade them, it's the same weekend, but Pacific Fordham. Pacific lost 2 games last year One of them was to Fordham. The other in the WCC championship versus a very good CBU team.
Crazy.
Yep,
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, that CBU team was legit. We're going to break down some of that in a bit, too.
So is this Pacific team.
Yeah. Well, Pacific and Fordham. This is going to be interesting. Both teams are very different than they were last year. This, to me, is a big deal. Fordham's going to want to start the season where they left off. Pacific's going to want some revenge because you know that Coach Graham's been thinking about that one for a while. If you only lost 2 games, you're thinking about them. All right, Recco, Ferencváros, they're coming to Asphalt Green in New York. You're going to want to check those out. CNAB is Barceloneta, and CN Marseille will be playing at Cal. Now, those dates we will have for you. We'll be sure to publish them as we get closer to season. They're varying, but I know that UCLA will be taking on Ferencváros. Princeton will be taking on Recco, but Recco playing Ferencváros at Asphalt Green. That's the main event. Can't wait to see that. I think the UCLA game is going to be pretty fun too versus Ferencváros. So you might give them more of a run than they anticipate. USC takes on Pacific. That's going to be interesting. Why do I like this game, Clayton? It's a Friday night lights. Friday night at Pacific. If you've ever been to an event at Pacific, James Graham, if he doesn't make it as a college water polo coach, which he's done very well for himself doing this, he's a great coach. He should be an event planner. This is not a water polo game. This is an event. Okay, they're going to have
experience.
It's an experience. They're going to have like a happy hour pregame. They're going to have hot dogs, burgers. It's the closest thing to a professional water polo game we have in the United States. It is
more games happy hour pre-games, I think.
And if Pacific wins, they hit a laser and there's free root beer floats in the gymnasium.
You hear that?
I've been there for it. I love it. We're going to talk to him this week as well. Cal versus Pepperdine. Why do we highlight this? This is on your way back from Pacific. Why don't you stop by Cal the next day and check out Cal versus Pepperdine? Cal lost to Pepperdine last year. Dude, Pepperdine's good this year. I'm going to call that out right now. Pepperdine's good. They got a good class. They got a good returning core. They got a lot of production returning. All right? We'll talk about who they've lost, but they've got a lot of production returning. Cal, they're revamping their program. They've got some good athletes coming back, but they got to find a way to get back to old Cal ways, that 3-time national championship we're used to seeing. And so that's going to be a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, it'll have a conversation of like the top 4 versus the top 5, or is it a top 6 now, right? Is this expanding?
Well, we'll talk about that. And don't go anywhere, everybody. We're going to have preseason rankings. We're going to break down preseason All-Americans. We're going to break down preseason conference rankings as we see them. It's an exciting time. And then you've got Stanford versus Long Beach State. That game, to me, if I'm Long Beach or I'm Stanford, I'm circling that game. We're going to talk about why that is as we go through the slides here, but that Long Beach team is out for blood. Remember, they won the Big West last year. They were an NC2A, but early exit as they lost to Fordham, and they got shellacked by Fordham in that game. But this Long Beach team is dangerous. Stanford not returning the production that Long Beach is. They're losing their 5 of their top 7 scorers from last year. And so there's not a lot of returning production. They've got a good young core, but Long Beach is a little bit older. So we're going to break that down as the season goes on. That's October 12th at the Farm. Be sure to check that out if you're in the area. Cal versus Fordham. Hey, everybody wanted it. Everybody wants Fordham to play MPSF teams. Everybody wants Pacific to play MPSF teams. Pacific's getting, I think, all of them. Fordham is taking on Cal, Stanford, and UCLA this year. So they're playing everybody in MPSF except for USC.
Fordham shows up a few times on this key matchup list.
And why not?
Reason. Yeah.
And why not? Right? We're going to talk about their recruiting class later this week. We're going to be talking about a number of these schools' recruiting classes later throughout the weeks. And so Fordham has Cal, and 2 days later, they get Stanford at the Julian Frazier Memorial at Santa Clara. The Cal game will be streamed on overnight. The Stanford game, we're waiting to find out. We'll know more of that. We'll be sure to preview that as that game gets closer. But if Fordham wants to really solidify themselves, these are games they got to win. They have the talent to do it. We've seen how good they are, right? And they're a different team this year than they were last year. But this is something they're going to have to get into. What a road trip, because I think they also have Long Beach on this road trip. I think they play Long Beach, Cal, and Stanford are kind of their big games. Hoy, good luck. I think they end with San Jose State, who's no slouch. San Jose State, speaking of them, they and Pepperdine, that WCC is loaded again. It is the deepest conference in America, bar none. I know MPSF has 4 great teams. Everybody underneath them, nowhere near it. This WCC is highly competitive.
Yeah.
We'll break down that as the season gets closer. And of course, USC, UCLA, the last regular season game for those two, the NC2A finals repeat, if you will, rematch before going into MPSF championship. So they met in, USC and UCLA last year met in the overnight MPS Invitational final, the MPSF finals, and NC2A finals. They were very clearly the 2 best teams all year long. We'll see how that shakes out. USC has some tremendous talent. Another group we're going to break down. Guys, we have so much great stuff coming up. I'm so excited.
All right. Likewise. And that transitions us into our next segment.
That's right.
Same faces, new places.
New places. Check this out. Some more music. Place like the music. Hope you're liking the music.
See, this is what season 3 does for you. Our production value is going way up. All this money rolling in. Wes, take us off. So same faces, new places. We know a lot of these guys, but they're wearing different caps this year, thanks to guys going into graduate programs, but especially the transfer portal.
The transfer portal has been a big deal, and we felt that this was really important to highlight because, quite frankly, this is a big deal. When players move, this was not really possible during our generation. It's become more readily available with the transfer portal. I don't think we've seen this much movement in a very long time, like really ever, across the teams. So the first player is none other than the WCC Player of the Year, Catino Award finalist, first team All-American, Miho Vukazic will be making his debut with USC. So he's going from Pacific. He'll have to go back to Pacific for that Friday night game we highlighted. This is a huge, huge pickup for USC. This guy played center defender for Pacific. He's not even a center defender. He's a 1-2 attacker. He's the longest, biggest 1-2 attacker I've ever seen. But he can absolutely fly up and down the pool. He's threatening from everywhere. He throws the ball like it's like the cover's coming off of it, right? He gives USC something nobody in the country has, and that is a 6'9" right-handed attacker that just can absolutely light it up in his final year of eligibility. And so Miho Vukazic will be part of that USC team. They've got quite a few Serbians. There seems to be a trend now with Brankovic, a couple, and Grgovic, and there's going to be a new addition in their freshman class as well. So that's Miho Vukazic. Next up, Touring Stanley, WCC first team, second team All-American, CBU leader in points, another graduate transfer. Touring Stanley will be joining his brother, Corbin Stanley. He's transferring from CBU to Long Beach State. We talked about Long Beach State and how deadly they're going to be. This is a big reason why. Touring Stanley is absolutely unbelievable. Arguably the most complete player we've seen in the Big West in a very, very long time. So he's going from the WCC to the Big West. He was great in National League this last year, led in points through the regular season. I mean, it tells you how good he is. If he's leading in points alongside the Ryder Dodds, the Andros Toths of the world, like Casabé is he's unbelievable. Colin Mulcahy, another one. So Touring Stanley, a huge pickup for Long Beach. You got another one, but we're going to jump now to Dom Brown. Dom Brown, Big West, second team, 67 drawn exclusions. He spent the spring playing in Spain. He's now played for the senior men's team at World Championships in Singapore. Oh, by the way, he's like 6'6" and left-handed. The dude can fly and can flat out play. This is a huge pickup for Cal as they lost both Jordy Gascon and George Avakian to graduation this last spring. This is enormous for them. I can't overstate this.
Yeah,
this guy is the next
high impact. Yeah,
it was a must get. It's just huge. If there was, aside from Vukazic, this is the biggest transfer. Like, he's going to have the biggest impact because he's going to get minutes. He's going to be the focal point center of this offense for Cal. Now, Cal's got a great recruiting class. We're going to cover that soon later this week. But this guy is going to make a huge difference for this team. Another Santa Barbara transfer to Cal, Luke Bachler, academic All-American, 45 goals in 27 games as a sophomore, just under 2 goals a game. This guy, I've met this guy a couple of times. He's from Sacred Heart Prep, and now up at Cal. He's big. He's a lot bigger than I anticipated. I watched him play for Santa Barbara against Stanford last year, and I had to pull out the program because here's a kid who kind of took over a game as a young player. I forget if he was a freshman or sophomore, but he was taking over that game for Santa Barbara. He was doing everything for them. This is another. He's more than just a role player. He plays really good defense. He shoots very well, and is very intelligent when it comes to his knowledge of the game. And so Luke Bachler, another really big pickup for Cal coming from Santa Barbara. And then the third big pickup for Cal, Chase Wilson, the center from Pepperdine. He played for the USA Junior team in National League, 58 drawn exclusions for Pepperdine last year. He'll likely be getting a lot of minutes with Don Brown. I think Don Brown probably starts ahead of him. With Chase Wilson, a very good second center for them, and truly like a really talented guy. It'll be great to see how he does up at Cal, up in Berkeley for this Cal Bears team. I'll pause there. That's 5 guys we've just covered. Clay, any commentary you've got, so I'm not talking the whole time?
No, it's just like, if people don't already know this, Wes has most of the intel on these guys anyway, but, I just think it is really exciting because you just don't even know. Like, it used to be who's got the freshman class, and now it's just like you just don't know what the teams are going to look like.
That's right.
Year to year. You have no idea what's in store, what's the pipeline, what conversations are being had. Like, these are all key impact players that aren't just heading to a program, but they're departing from a program. So it does shake them up as well. So we see a handful of Santa Barbara guys taking off, and Chase Wilson from Pepperdine heading off to Cal. And we wish these guys the best, and that these are the best decisions for them in their careers. And it's interesting to think about just from a just like experiential perspective. Like, they're not just leaving, just playing for another team. Like, they're changing schools, and that's, to me, such a big decision to make. You made some friends. You start up your courses. You're moving out from where you were living to go play at another program, and it's a big decision to make. But it's clearly it felt right, or was logically right enough to make that change. And I'm just so interested in seeing how this plays out for everybody.
It's certainly different than when we were playing, Clay. I was told, the advice I got, I'm not sure if you got this advice, but the advice I got was go somewhere that you enjoy being, in case water polo just, you don't love it anymore 100%. Or it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that option.
Pepperdine, for sure. Yeah.
Right. And so we really didn't have this option. But as you've noted, right now they're changing schools, potentially majors, new classes, new courses, new professors. So it's a whole different track for them. Let's keep going. We've got William Witstone here, another CBU transfer to Long Beach. He and touring Stanley making the jump from the WCC over to the Big West. He was a starting goalie for that WCC championship team. He had a huge game against Pacific, did really well. I thought he was great in the NC2As, despite losing that first game against USC in the NC2A finals that weekend. But this is a big pickup for Long Beach because they lost 2 senior goalies, Aaron Wilson and Liam, forget Liam's last name, but 2 very tenured senior goalies with a lot of experience. Witstone here. We'll see if he starts. I think he will personally. It's not up to me though. So we'll have to wait and see where that kind of shakes out. I know they got other goalies on their roster. 44% save percentage, that CBU team losing probably the 2 most important guys for this upcoming season. So they'll just reload. If we know anything about Rosa, they'll be ready. And so there's that. Now, a little bit of a change of pace here. Alika Naone heading to LMU. He was a Nashville Channel Cats National League player 2022 to 2025. He played at Cal. He played at Long Beach. He was a leading scorer for the Nashville Channel Cats in National League in 2024. This guy can score. He's a little bit of a journeyman. He's been all over. He's going to be a little bit older than a lot of these guys. He's got 1 year of eligibility. New coach at LMU, David Carrasco, felt he could come in and make an impact in his 1 year. And so, we will see how this shakes out. It's not every day you see somebody who's not playing in college come back to college, but with the way the rules now shake out, he's able to do that, and he's got 1 year of eligibility left. Additionally, joining him is Nico Ferno from Santa Barbara. He'll be heading to LMU. I watched this guy play at Junior Worlds in Croatia this past summer with the Canadian junior team. He is a really fundamentally sound player, plays very good defense, one-on-one. He had 25 steals as a freshman, which is incredible. He moves through the water exceptionally well. There's like no disruption of the water. Like some players, when they swim, feels like the water's getting out of the way.
You can tell if a player is good or not just by how they move in the water. We saw it with Vukazic. We saw it with Andras Toth. Like, man, they just move different. Yeah.
And Nico's one of those guys. Additionally, a great human. I got nothing but the greatest things possible to say about Nico Ferno. I was able to spend some time with him while in Croatia and just talk for a while in between, their warm-ups or their practices, whatever else. We had some downtime. Really excited for him. Obviously, this is a big pickup for LMU. David Carrasco, again, trying to make his moves early and often here as he picked up two pretty key guys that will contribute immediately for this LMU team. And they're going to put LMU, we'll break them down, but LMU's maybe the scariest team this year because they got some talent. And David, it's a new coach.
Some talent, new leadership, some new breath.
Could be what it needs.
We know David very well, and he's a just very intelligent player, tons of experience, and we believe that he's going to do a lot of great things at LMU and are very excited. And naturally, he's going to start attracting more talent than LMU has had before. So when you combine those two things, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, so I know he's excited about that. We're going to have him on the show in the next week or so, and so excited to hear his thoughts. And finally, our final transfer that we are privy to, at least, Kyle Thomas. Kyle Thomas, the lefty from Pepperdine, has decided to go coast to coast. He's going out to Fordham. He's a left-handed attacker. He was injured for last year, I believe. Played with Nashville Channel Cats in the spring in National League. This gives everybody's talked about, well, Fordham is losing their 4-5 side. Well, here's one lefty.
There you go.
We'll talk about their class coming in. I think you're going to be either you're going to be really happy for them, or you're going to hate what you hear when we get to the Fordham segment. But this is a big pickup. If I know he's been out. Kyle Thomas has been out for a minute, but if he gets into shape, this guy can be pretty deadly and can really help this Fordham team. He's got a couple of years of eligibility left. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he fits into the Fordham Rams approach. That Coach Bachler and Coach Ilya will find ways to fit pieces into their system and they really bring out the best in a lot of their players. So that is the breakdown of the transfer portal and what is going on in the world of water polo since the last time we talked. A lot of cool things happening, and we're excited about this, Clay. I mean, good grief. It's different. It's very different.
It is very different. That's a ton of content for one episode.
I know. It's a lot. So it's 30 minutes of content. You've been hearing me talk a lot.
We're packing it in here, guys. So hopefully you all found some value from this. Like Wes said, there's going to be a lot more coming at you. Last season was historical, and this is gearing up to be just as exciting, if not more exciting.
I think this is going to be more so. I think this will be more exciting than last year for a few reasons. Now, coming up, really from starting tomorrow, Monday, August 4th, until August 13th, we're going to have an episode every day. We've got coaches coming on talking about their incoming freshman recruiting classes. Right, we've tried to pack as many of these in as we could, given that the season is coming up here in a couple of weeks. We weren't able to get to everyone, but I hope that everybody has the opportunity to see these episodes. They'll be just single, bites of here. We're going to talk about this school. Tomorrow's first episode will be Coach James Graham outlining his class coming into Pacific. And I'll tell you what, it's a good one. So be sure to stay tuned. We're going to have Pacific on the show tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to have a new team every single day for the next week and a half. We'll recap everything Wednesday, August 13th. That'll be the next time you see the two of us probably together talking water polo Wednesday. But until then, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We hope you're as excited about this season this upcoming 2025 men's season as we are. It's not going to disappoint. We got so much excitement. There's so much going on. Stay with us. Be sure to tune into all the great things that are happening here on Water Polo Wednesday. And don't forget, life is short.
Score goals.